Hello, I'm Gareth Vaughan from interest.co.nz, here with another one of our double shot interviews. Today I'm joined by Brian Gaynor, Executive Director at Milford Asset Management and a long-time commentator on the New Zealand financial markets. Now, Brian, thanks for talking to us today. I'm particularly interested in your current views on New Zealand's share market. Now, things are pretty quiet out there at the moment. How does it compare to the previous 20 or 30 years in your time of following events?
Well, this is my 35th year, and I've never seen it so quiet. It was quiet in the 1970s, 76, 77, 78, but this is unprecedented. At least back then you had Ron Brierley, who was making takeover offers for poorly performing companies, but we don't seem to have anything at the moment. We've got no IPOs. We've got two takeover offers, as you know. We've got one for AFCO and one for NZ Farming Systems Uruguay. But really, the level of activity and the level of interest in the market is the lowest that I've experienced in the last 3.5 decades.
Why do you think that is?
We're not producing enough new product. I mean, if you look at, say, companies like Apple, you know, when you're introducing new iPhones and stuff like that, people get incredibly interested. They get interested when something exciting or new is happening. And IPOs have always been a major catalyst for encouraging people to become interested in the share market. And we're not really having any at the moment. We have Akoya earlier this year, and we have DNZ Property Fund, which will be listed in about a week's time. But really, they weren't the kind of things that excited investors. So we're not having enough new product. We're not having enough new companies being listed.
Is there any silver bullet out there? I mean, are there a group of companies that could come along? Are our companies just too boring?
Well, there's two things happening that I detect, and I was at an annual meeting on Friday, and a long-standing chairman came up to me and he said, God, he said, I'm so happy that I'm only on the board of one listed company. He said, there's too much compliance and there's too many rules. Well, I disagree with him. I think that there's an awful lot of New Zealand executives that just don't like the challenge of higher compliance and reaching higher standards, because I think that listing is a wonderful thing to do, because you have to lift your game, because you have to do things a little bit more differently and better than you are as a private company. So I think there's a reluctance on a lot of people to subject themselves to scrutiny and to higher standards. The second thing, though, the real catalyst for change is going to be a wave of new, younger business people coming along. Now, we had that in the early 80s with the arrival of the Alan Hawkins and the Craig Heatleys, and it was a wave of one or two individuals listed on the market. Others saw that, you know, there are some real benefits in this, and all of a sudden a new generation wanted to be listed on the share market. Now, we don't have that at the moment because the existing dominant generation doesn't want to be listed, but it could change very quickly. It could change in the space of 2 or 3 years. Now, I'm hoping it will. I can't give you the evidence of it, but I'm hoping that it will.
I mean, can you sort of cite any examples of this new generation out there? I mean, obviously, the Sam Morgans of this world have been well publicised with their success, but I don't think he's got anything he's about to bring to market. Are there any other young business leaders that you've got your hopes pinned on?
Yeah, we run into a few of them, and I can't really name them, but they're a bit reluctant because the advice that they're getting from the directors, because a lot of them, what they want to do is they want to build a company, so they get a few senior people on the board, maybe one or two, and the advice that they're getting from those is, oh, be careful about being listed, you know, there's a lot of compliance, you're subject to a lot of scrutiny. I think, though, when the younger guys get more confident, they'll say to these older directors, look, I accept your advice, but I think it's time for us to list. Because listing is wonderful from 2 points of view. It gives you the capital to grow your business, but it also gives you a level of exposure to the public that you don't get as a private company. Now, I don't see too many examples of that happening right at the moment, but in 1979-80 we didn't see too many examples, and by 1982 we had a wave of new companies being listed. So if it starts, it can actually occur reasonably quickly. And I do think there's enough of younger business people out there, the Sam Morgans types. I don't know many of them, but I just detect that there could be quite a lot of people out there, business people, who could come to the market fairly quickly if they were persuaded that that was to their benefit.
I mean, obviously, whenever someone's looking at floating a company, there are other options. Often they get takeover offers if they're small growing companies. And we do see a lot of New Zealand companies, obviously, they grow to a certain level and then they sell to an overseas, a bigger overseas fish. Is that still a concern for our share markets, that they're losing a lot of potential listings in that manner?
Well, I think it's a concern for the country, because I don't think we have that kind of drive to create intergenerational wealth. I mean, you look in Australia with the Lowrys and the Packers and the Murdochs and the Lynn Foxes and there's families that just want to drive things, and they want to actually create big organisations that last for 2 or 3 or 4 generations. We tend to take the easy option, which is to sell out, take the money, and take long holidays and buy a yacht, etc. I would hope that that attitude will change. I don't see many signs of it at the moment, but I'm hoping that in the next 5 to 10 years, and that's all we can look at, there will be a younger generation that decides, well, I want to control and own my company. I want it to grow. I want it to be listed on the New Zealand share market. And maybe if it's incredibly successful, it goes to Australia and gets listed there as well. But there's not much evidence at the moment, but all I'm saying is really, if you look at the 80s, we can go from a negative environment to a positive environment very quickly if we did see 1 or 2 companies listed doing well.
Now, I mean, a lot of the readers and viewers on our site invest in bank deposits, bonds, gold in some cases, even property. For people who perhaps aren't regular investors in the share market, why does it matter that we have a vibrant share market?
Well, it probably doesn't matter to them individually, but it matters for the country, because unless you create new exciting enterprises, you then don't create the exciting careers for younger people. And if you look at our migration figures and our population figures, we're seeing an awful lot of young people who are very well educated, who've gone through the New Zealand education system and have been funded by us effectively as taxpayers, who are going to work in Australia. And the long-term consequences of that will be, as we've heard many times, we could end up like a Hobart or a Tasmania relative to the rest of the country. So as far as people investing in gold and commodities, it probably doesn't matter. But I believe that we have got an obligation to future generations, and we should leave the country in a better position as a country than we inherited it. And unless we have better capital markets, the chances are that we will leave New Zealand not in as good a position as when we inherited it as in our generation.
What about the possibility of a second-term national-led government floating some of the SOEs? Do you pin much hope on that being a bit of a silver bullet for the capital markets?
I think we tend to look at those as a kind of a cargo cultism, like it's going to be the answer. I mean, I'm not opposed to them being partially listed, but in the end, we're too reliant on originally government-owned companies. If you look at the Telecom, the Auckland International Airport, the Air New Zealand, the Vectors, we're not creating enough companies ourselves through the private sector. We could get a temporary respite, and the market would benefit from Mighty River Power, Genesis, or Meridian being listed. But really, I think the upturn will come if we get more private enterprise-created companies listed. Those who kind of, the Warehouse, I remember, was when it was listed, was looked upon very positively. When's the last time we've had the equivalent of a Warehouse being listed on New Zealand share market? And that was a very small company, which when it was listed, it was quite interesting. You talk to people in the finance industry, they wouldn't go near the Warehouse. It was considered to be the bottom of the barrel. Within being a year of being listed, I bet you most of the wives of the businessmen in Remuera and Fendleton were going to the Warehouse and buying products for farmers. But that's, we don't get many warehouses anymore, and that's what we need, is those rather than the Mighty River Powers.
I mean, I remember Raycon listing a few years ago, and there was a lot of excitement about Raycon, but we haven't really had anything like that since, have we?
No, we haven't. Look, if you look at the last 2 or 3 years, we've had a huge dearth of new listing, and unfortunately the experience for Raycon, although hopefully it will come right, the share price did get up near $5 and everyone got overly excited. And that's the tendency what happens here, because we have so limited new listings that when they come on, the share price can often get a little bit too high because people get excited over just having 1 or 2 new listings. If we had 10 or 20 or 30 every year, we would probably have a more rational market, and we wouldn't have the kind of share price bubbles that we tend to have.
So, I mean, you say it's quieter out there at the moment than it's been in the 35 years that you've been following the New Zealand share market. And just how quiet is it?
Well, we don't probably see it in our business as much as the brokers, and I know when I run into the brokers and I see the activity on the market and I look at it from that point of view, and when I talk to people on the weekend, very few people ask me about shares or what's happening in the share market. I don't detect that the younger generation, particularly those under 40, are particularly interested in shares. When I meet them, they talk about property and residential property and stuff like that. So it's not so much I'm saying that in our business it's like that, but in terms of activity on the market, IPOs, interesting companies appearing on the horizon, looking like they might list on the share market, there just doesn't seem to be much activity. And there isn't many mergers and acquisitions. I mean, we've got the takeover of AFCO and ANZ Farming Systems Uruguay, but they're more taking over distressed companies rather than two companies coming together who are going to be growing into 1 + 1 = 3. It's more of a rescue operation for companies that haven't performed well, rather than anything very positive.
Now, just to change the subject and move on to finance companies, now that's an area that you keep an eye on as well. Obviously, it's been a disastrous area for New Zealand retail investors in the last few years. What are your thoughts on that sector now, with obviously the Crown guarantees coming off in the next year or so? There's a lot of companies out there still struggling.
There are, unfortunately, but I do see it being resurrected. I mean, the finance companies do play a very important role, that kind of second-tier kind of lending against cars, etc. I think we'll find in 5 or 10 years' time we will have a reasonably strong finance company sector again, but it won't be the existing companies. I mean, a lot of them, even that are surviving at the moment, when the government guarantee goes off, they will find it very difficult to survive. We do need a strong second-tier financial organisations. They will come back, but they'll be very different because the rules and regulations will be much tighter. They won't kind of make the same type of money that they did in the past. But I think there's a real role for organisations who are willing to take a long-term view, and long-term is 10, 15, 20 years, that you could build some very successful finance companies which would give higher returns to investors than they get from investing in the bank, but without the kind of risks that they've been subjected to with the existing finance companies, or the ones that have gone bust.
And you see these being new players coming in?
Yeah, and that goes back to the theme we've talked about earlier about a younger generation. I mean, to me, everything really rests now on people between the ages of 25 and 40 and what they're going to do. And I think enough of them will spot. I mean, to me, New Zealand offers wonderful opportunities. And you might say, well, why? Well, there's so little competition in every area. I mean, for example, if you're in the investment management business in Australia, you've got hundreds and hundreds of competitors, but in New Zealand you've got very few. So in actual fact, a country that doesn't have a lot of activity offers very good opportunities for those who've got energy and ambition. So I do think New Zealand does offer a lot of opportunities. It's just that there's a reluctance, certainly by my generation, to pick up those opportunities, and I'm hoping that the younger generation will see those opportunities and pick them up.
Okay, thank you, Brian. So I'm Gareth Vaughan from interest.co.nz with another one of our double shot interviews with Brian Gaynor from Milford Asset Management.